Welcome to Stemless Face Off podcast with Jeff, also known as Gun Daddy.
Yep, Gun Daddy is the name.
Where'd Gun Daddy come from?
So I was working with Gladius as the running the shop. My time in the military, I was a gunner's mate in the military, and weapon systems was everything I worked with, from small arms to missile launchers, cannons, stuff like that. And getting out, I got into working on boats. Hated working on boats. It's not the boats, it's the people. So Mike presented me a opportunity to work with Gladius as the armorer there, and getting into back into gun stuff. Everybody started calling me for gun questions. I got this gun, this is wrong with it, and so I pretty much was like, wow, I feel like I'm the gun daddy, because everybody comes to me with their problems. And kind of just ran with it from there. Started my LLC about 2 years ago, and pushing for training. I have a app in development, I have a patent in the works, and then with firearms training, the big thing is most people just go, they shoot, and they don't practice for a bit. I'm trying to get more people to look at it like fitness, where you have a program, you work on your weaknesses. So when most people go to the range, try to get them to have a plan. So I like to, more than a firearms instructor, I'm more of a firearms coach. So yeah, that's pretty much how Gun Daddy got started.
So what is your background?
So my background, well, we'll start from the beginning. I grew up here in Jupiter, Florida.
Okay.
Grew up out in Jupiter Farms around horses and boats and all that. Hunting, fishing was my childhood. Wanted to be a pilot. Some childhood stuff came up, and then rather than go to college, I was like, I'm gonna go join the Navy. So I joined the Navy. Wanted to be Navy SEAL. That didn't pan out. Wound up as a gunner's mate, and got to work with those guys a little bit. Work with the green water side before I got attached to a ship. So my background is, for first 5 years of my adult life was military. Getting out of the military, I started into contracting. Worked for BAE. There's an underwater weapons testing facility in the Bahamas, and so I got a job there. With him, I couldn't. With my son, I couldn't really keep that job, so I came back, got into firefighting. Firefighting down here is medical, so I got out of firefighting because the medical stuff's just not in it for me. Heart attacks and overdoses and car accidents is pretty much all you do as a firefighter in South Florida. I mean, there's been a few pop-up fires, but I enjoy firefighting. And realized it just wasn't for me down here. On top of that, the structure, having to shave all the time, I just didn't want to keep up with the firefighting, so I got back into boats. Getting back into boats, worked at Viking Yachts for a little bit, and then one of my old naval officers called me and was like, hey, we started this boat decking company. So I started working with them, and then I had a League Above Marine Services for about 3 years, 2.5, 3 years, doing decking, electronics. COVID time, the supply chain for everything just went down, and that was when Mike was starting Gladius, so I jumped ship and got away from boats because it was nothing but a headache, and started pushing more into the gun stuff. And now I'm pretty much full-time with Gun Daddy. I do executive protection for a couple different agencies, work for a couple different families, and to kind of fill in between, like summertime when it comes to shooting. Most people don't want to go out and shoot in the heat.
Right.
And I'm one of those, can't really teach you how to properly shoot at an indoor range. I can teach the fundamentals there, but we're not drawing, we're not working off timers.
Right.
So, that's pretty much most of my background.
That's awesome. So you work with Operation 300? Were you part of that The Gladius?
Yeah,
Gladius
so when I was working with Gladius for about 2.5, 3 years. And then beginning of this year, I got into some extra work and kind of branched off on my own. So, done events with Operation 300, done events with Warrior Choice Foundation, and then, yeah, that's pretty much.
That's all you have.
That's pretty much all I have. A life story.
So explain for those who do what was your exact duty in the military?
As a gunner's mate, I was a small arms marksmanship instructor, pretty much qualifying and teaching sailors how to shoot. I was a crew serve weapons instructor, qualifying, teaching sailors how to work 50 cals, 240s, 25 Mike, which is a cannon. And then my other MOS was, well, rating, was I was the 5-inch tech on board a destroyer.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so worked on the cannons and the torpedoes on board of a Arleigh Burke class destroyer.
So this is more why you are the gun daddy.
Yes. The small arms specialist, so I went through school and got the Crane Armor School in Indiana. That really makes you a small arms specialist. It's not just cleaning and cleaning the weapons, it's actually fixing things that break them. So learning every aspect of the weapons, learning every small individual spring and part, life cycles, being able to track that was basically what I did in the military.
That's cool. 5 years you did.
Yep.
What'd you do after that?
Right after that, when I got out, I got the job over at Alltech, underwater weapons testing facility.
How was that job?
It was my dream job, but because I share custody with my son and it was out of the country, I couldn't continue with that job, so I wasn't there very long.
So what'd you do there?
Underwater weapons testing, that's pretty much.
So what exactly does that mean? What did you go under the water to test them? Little vision.
Sonars, torpedoes, stuff like that. Testing with our military, foreign militaries. Past that, can't really discuss too much on that. But
secret.
We worked island time there.
That's pretty
so
cool.
when they weren't doing testing phases, it was basically just go do your maintenance on the testing stuff, and then go rent a boat at the harbor and chill on Andros Island in the Bahamas.
Oh, wow,
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Did you like that life, that
Oh,
atmosphere besides work?
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I like it. I don't like busy like Miami. I try not to go down to Fort Lauderdale. Jupiter's a little bit too busy for me now.
Yeah, I used to be so quiet back then.
Yeah, now I came home and it was a completely different. Yeah, because growing up in Jupiter, in high school, me and one of my childhood best friends, we commercial fished. And I came back and the fish market's gone. So it was a totally different aspect. I still love Jupiter, but like Indian towns,
It's not the same.
it's too crowded. It's too busy. If it wasn't for the wife, I'd be in the mountains. But she doesn't want to leave Florida. Yet.
Yeah,
Right.
he's got hope.
I
Is
got
she
hope.
born and raised?
Yeah, she's born and raised Palm Beach
Okay.
Gardens.
Okay.
But we're gonna make it work in Jupiter until I finally have enough and disappear into the mountains.
So you have one child?
Yeah, I have one 10-year-old son. Had him when I was in the military. I was 20, and then I'm planning another. We'll see how the next year or two goes. So
That's cool.
yeah.
Very
So you're
exciting.
30.
No, I'm 30. 30 in a 50-year-old's mindset. I like to tell everybody I've been around the world twice, so I've seen it all, I've done it all, and now I just kind of want to hide in the mountains after.
I'm good. I'm
Yeah.
good. I'm did my thing. Say your business. So basically, you can sign on to learn how to utilize a weapon.
Yep. So I provide classes. www.gundaddy.shop is my website. I'll have .com soon. I do everything from basic handgun through vehicle engagement. A little bit of stop the bleed classes in there too, because if you can cause a hole, you should be able to plug a hole. But yeah, so the websites, go on there, sign up for any of my classes, call me if you want to set up private, stuff like that. I do most of my classes at Okeechobee Shooting Sports.
Okay.
But I do like the smaller one-on-one privates, especially in the summer. I got some clients that don't want to go shoot outside, so I'll take them to Continental Shooting Center here in Stewart and just kind of teach the newer clients fundamentals there.
Okay.
And then on top of that, I do 10 other things. I also do electrical. One of my childhood best friends has an electrical company, so when he's shorthanded, I'm off doing electrical.
You're an electrician too.
Yeah, and then I also do low voltage, camera systems, network stuff like that.
IT.
Yeah, more of the installation side.
Installation.
Bring in somebody else to kind of patch the firewall network and all that. But when it comes to actually the network boxes and the camera system, so we do that as well.
That's pretty cool.
Yep, and then that's through my other buddy Billy with BTS Inc.
Billy.
Yep, buddy Billy.
Oh, Billy.
So I'm kind of just jack of all trades, and when I'm not working, I'm working. Because between the executive protection, the firearms training, the electrical, and the low voltage stuff, I'm
Busy bee.
just have to be doing something. I can't sit at home.
It's
If I have a
good.
day off, I wake up, I have to go do something.
You work out?
I do. So getting in the military, I had an throughout high school I wrestled. Wrestled middle school through high school, and I had a
Want to
obsession.
show us some of your wrestling moves? I mean,
It's been a
You
little
only-
bit.
it's not
I'm
as
knocking
if-
off the rust
You're
recently.
only 30. You should remember high school.
Oh yeah, no, I'm actually getting back into it because a big thing with firearms training is you should be able to also go hand to hand because your weapon's not always your first choice.
Right.
So I work with a friend of mine, Jared, who started Apex Combat Solutions, and he is a BJJ black belt. It has put a lot of time into learning combatives with weapons, not just jujitsu. So I'm getting back into it, and then another acquaintance of mine, Jose Fernandez with Hard to Kill Training Group. He owns a Muay Thai gym down in Lake Worth.
Hmm.
So, starting to get back into the hand-on-hand stuff because it is important, and it's a perishable skill, just like firearms, just like pretty much anything.
Mm-hmm.
You got to stay on top of it. So,
You have to be.
but when it comes to lifting, I've always had a passion for strength. Most people ask me why I squat, deadlift, or do strong. I do strongman now. I just have an obsession with trying to get as strong as possible and lift as much as possible. I don't know why I do it, because every time I put 600 pounds on my back, I'm like, wow, this is a lot of weight.
Might do it anyways.
Yeah.
So how is that different than powerlifting?
So, getting out of the military, because I finally had time to powerlift, I started into powerlifting and I loved it. But powerlifting is bench, squat, and deadlift.
Okay.
Most powerlifters aren't in shape.
Okay.
They're strong, but if you ask most of them to do a sprint, they're not going to be able to do it. They don't stay on top of their cardio, and you just get very stagnant. Most people go in, do their bench, squat, deadlift, might do an accessory or two, and leave. It's and I loved it. I got to right about a 700-pound deadlift, a little bit over 600-pound squat. My bench has always been trash, but I bench, I think it was about 380 in comp, and then about 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago, or 2 now, I was going through some VA stuff, and they did an MRI, and they told me I had a brain bleed. So I had to stop lifting for about a year.
Wow.
Took them about a year to fix. 'Cause anything with the VA is extremely slow. But got that. Actually, I was starting to think they weren't going to fix it, so I signed up because I was sitting stagnant for so long. I was like, I want to get back into lifting, but I don't want to do powerlifting because I'm out of shape. I don't want to do CrossFit because CrossFit's CrossFit.
Yeah.
So I was like, what can I do that involves strength? I'm not trying to do 1,000 burpees. And so then I found out there's weight classes in strongman.
Oh.
So strongman's a lot like CrossFit, but for men.
Only men?
I mean, women can do it too. There are a lot of strong women out there. But with the movements, I mean, you're still staying active. I mean, a yoke walk, depending if it's lighter weight, usually it's longer distances. The sandbags, the heaviest thing I've ever lifted in my life was a 300-pound sandbag on my shoulder. This is coming from a deadlift over 700 now. In that 300-pound sandbag, I felt like I ran a marathon.
Sandbags is different.
It's
like
yeah.
It's like carrying a person.
Yes. Yeah.
Lopsided. It's weird.
It's awkward.
It's
Yeah.
like it's moving
Dead
this
weight,
way. You're trying to
heavy.
go this way, and you're like, I don't know
So
what's going.
I got into strongman. I dove headfirst into it. Right when I searched local strongman comps, and the first thing that popped up was World Strength Games. And not knowing much about strongman, I was like, okay, I'll sign up and figure out the stuff later. They didn't even release the weights yet. And getting into it, they started releasing the weights 1 week at a time. There was 8 events over 2 days. And I was looking at it, and I was like, oh, I've never done that before in my life. Okay. And then they released the next one. I was like, oh, I guess, and this was about 20 weeks out from it. I was like, oh, okay. So about 20 weeks to train for it. And I mean, I thought I was strong with powerlifting background. Mind you, this was from a year off of not lifting. Just getting back into it, and I decided to go head first. They were releasing the weights. I had a buddy sign up with me, and then once they released the weights, he goes, yeah, no. And I go, well, I'm signed up, I'm doing it.
Go ahead anyway.
Once I commit to something,
Give me the diet, I'll do this anyway.
Yeah, besides the diet, I don't commit to that. That's why.
That's where he draws the
Oh my
line.
God, you're still funny.
So I was weighing up at the time about 210, 215, and it was either dropped down to 198, which coming from 8 years of wrestling, I was like, I'm never going to cut weight again. I don't like cutting weight. So I was like, well, I need to put on some weight because the next weight class up is 231.
Oh, whoa.
Ooh.
So I was like, okay. So I bumped my calories up to about 5,000 calories a day, following the vertical diet, and I was eating about 2.5 pounds of red meat, bison mainly a day.
Ooh,
About
that's work.
8 cups of rice, and anywhere from 8 to 16 eggs, depending on the day.
Bulky and
So I was
something.
following a diet, but it was a seafood diet. I see it, I eat it. And then about 10 or 12 weeks out, I finally was like, I need a coach because I don't know how to do some of these movements well.
Oh my God.
So actually it was around July. The competition was in September of last year. So July there was a local comp, and I signed up just to get my first comp that wasn't the World Strength Games out of the way. So it was at my buddy John's gym, Iron Therapy down in Lake Worth, and he threw the Summer Scorcher, and it was just a small local comp. But the announcer there, MDLP Mike De La Pava, owns a gym, Miami's Baddest, down in Miami. And so I was talking with him before some of the events at the Scorcher, and my hips, I have bad hips, and he was giving me some exercises to help warm up my hips, because every time I do any heavy carries or anything like that, it's hard to sit, it's hard to stand after. And then I hired him as my coach and started really prepping for the World Strength Games.
That's cool. When is that?
What's that?
When is it?
The World Strength Games was last September.
Last.
Yeah, so did the World Strength Games. I think I came in like 4th out of 6 or 7 guys.
That's awesome.
It was a heavy competition. So, like when I told Mike that's the one I'm training for, he was like, "You really want this as your like first official comp?" And I was like, "I'm already signed up."
10 weeks.
Yeah.
You're
Well, I mean,
full go.
yeah.
There's no dipping your toe in.
Yeah,
no
no,
moderation.
I've lived my whole life. Once I'm committed, I'm committed. I mean, once I signed the wedding paperwork, my wife knew I wasn't backing out. I've always been that way. If I put my name on a list, I'm going to be there. And so since then, I've just fallen in love with strongman because it's functional. It's
That's
fun.
cool.
It's never the same lifts because with powerlifting, you bench, squat, deadlift. You know what's at every comp.
Right.
With strongman, it's different. And a lot of these competitions, they will put out the events 12 weeks out. So it's not like you have all year to train for it.
You have to be ready.
Yeah. And then on top of that, there's
Okay.
certain implements that not all gyms have. Thankfully, I found out Iron Therapy down in Lake Worth. He has pretty much most of the equipment. I've bought a lot of equipment myself, but it's not the same when you don't have a crew and
No, it's not.
yeah.
It's not the
So like doing an 800-pound yoke walk, it's working up to that weight. It's what 9 plates on 18 plates.
That's wild.
So 16 plates. So loading that onto your yoke and then loading that off by yourself is a workout in itself.
It's dangerous,
So,
if anything.
but yeah, powerlifting's been cool. But now my strongman, I want to get. I want to continue training. I want to try to get at the international level at 231. So with strongman, there's depending on the competition and the federation, there's weight classes. But really, at the pro level, you have super heavyweight. You got guys like Thor, who's 6'9", 350, 400 pounds.
That's crazy.
But a lot of people don't realize there's pretty much at the international level, the next weight class is 231. And at some of these shows, like, because it goes 231 open, World Strength Games, the open guys, some of them weighed 350 and they're putting a 350-pound sandbag to their shoulder. At 231, we're all 231 or under, and we were putting a 300-pound sandbag to our shoulder. So it's fun. It's just lifting the weight, and I really like at the 231 because you maintain that athleticism, and it's not just trying to move a 1,400-pound yoke 20 feet.
That's crazy.
And so hopefully in the next 2 or 3 years I'll be at that next level. This is I'm pretty much 9 months into 9 to 10 months into actually training for strongman. A year now. Last June I really kicked it off and started. So yeah, this is June. It's been a year. Wow, time flies.
Flies.
I was like, wait a second, it's June.
Yeah. So I've done 3 comps now. My next one I'm probably going to do in December. I'm traveling a lot this summer for work and stuff like that. So my training this summer is kind of just maintenance and not losing everything. I was supposed to be in a strength block, but my wife, we got married last 4th of July.
Newlyweds.
Yeah, we've been together 5 years. Married for, it'll be 4th of July. But she really wants a child of her own.
Yeah, it's time.
Yeah.
It's now or never.
Yeah.
When you get into that age, it's like,
Brother's enough.
Okay.
boss has spoken. He only wants one.
Okay.
You're the king. Marry
Yeah.
a little queen. You still keep the king status. Hey, somebody has to do the dishes.
You'll still have your own room.
I do the dishes.
Well, she can do the dishes then. You get away because you're the oldest. You see?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I might end up working out at the end.
Actually, last summer Dakota competed in they had a kids comp going on at the same
Yeah.
time as my comp, so he did a little strongman.
That's so
Competition.
cool.
Did you like it?
Mhm.
Aw.
That's awesome. How cool is that?
Yeah, we had a little
No,
log
I
press and a frame deadlift and
Oh,
Yeah.
cool.
I couldn't do the frame deadlift, but everything else I done it.
the tire flip. Yeah.
Wow.
Good
That's so
job.
cool. I did not know they had that for kids.
Yep. So John down at Iron Therapy, he's very involved. His daughter competes in cheerleading, but he's very active with the kids events and stuff like that. So whenever he's putting on events, he likes to have kids events going on too. So
That's great.
yeah, so I'm gonna try to get him into a few more events, so he can be strong like me, right, dude?
He wasn't going to give that to you there
Nah,
for a second.
no, I-
Have you been to the gym up here in Port St. Iron Night?
I've been to Iron Knight Gym, and then there's the other one. I feel bad I don't remember.
Oh, strong.
It was my brain bleed. It was in my
Oh,
right temporal
Treasure Coast
region.
Barbell.
Yeah, Treasure Coast Barbell. Left up there. The crew up there is great.
What's his name? He owns it. Oh God, I can't remember his name. Oh, those are my favorite.
Oh,
I
you're gonna
forget
might have
his
to
name.
run.
I
Rather be over there trying to bite and
He's
have a
like, I'm a
bite.
strong man. I'm
Yeah.
not running anywhere.
So
That's awesome.
yeah,
Well, I'm gonna put Nicole on. I'm gonna
Okay.
switch seats with her, and she's gonna do some rapid fire questions.
bring it on.
Real hard questions
They're
here.
very hard.
Might be able to answer 'em.
No.
Yeah, we'll find it.
I probably need to watch some YouTube videos to help me.
Listen to him.
Oh my gosh, you're so cute.
Are you gonna look
Okay, ready for rapid fire
You're looking on
questions?
YouTube?
Fire away.
Perfect. Most irrational fear.
My most irrational fear.
Favorite childhood TV show?
The military channel.
The military channel when you're a kid?
Yeah. I was obsessed with the military channel. I was obsessed with top 10 tanks, top 10 planes. I was obsessed with the military channel. Always wanted to be in the military, and then once I got in the military, I realized, wow, you could do all this stuff as a contractor and make a lot more money. So yeah, military channel as a whole was probably my favorite channel, my favorite show.
If you could do either one of these, what's your preference? Push the pause button or the rewind?
Rewind.
Really?
I'd go back. I'd be a millionaire.
Nice. It's easier to go back when hindsight's 20/20, right?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. What's your death row meal?
Brisket.
I want this.
I also make a baked habanero mac and cheese.
Ooh.
So
A what?
brisket with my habanero mac and cheese.
And baked habanero mac and
yes.
cheese.
Oh, okay. Do you like to talk or text?
Talk, texting, I can get lost, and when you send me 4 texts in a row, I don't read the top one.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I would say talking, straight to the point, get it over with.
What was your first job?
Besides, because I grew up with horses and cows, so besides basically being a ranch hand, that I didn't get paid for, commercial fishing.
So is it a job? No.
It was a job.
Yeah.
I mean, by the time I was 10, I was a master at putting up fences.
Really?
Yeah, my father had me, for some
Good
reason, always
job.
changing out the fences on everything. But commercial fishing was my first paying job.
Okay.
13, I started commercial fishing with one of my good friends.
Wow.